So I have here a few sections from different parts of the appendix. And I'm just picking out some paragraphs that are full of a little bit of a discrete lump of information about different things. The Aquarii are the people that I described with different abilities. They are sort of cephalopod, molluscid, mantid, as if a nautilus had molted and stepped out of its shell with legs and two arm tentacles and face tentacles that could cast color and sound in the air around them. So, like how the nautilus have eyes and tentacles doing this. That's the Aquarii, or the Aquarii, and they at some point made first contact with human civilization in collaboration with dragons. So humans and dragons were working together and going interplanetary. And they met the Aquarii, and this is a description of their first contact. When humans made first contact, they were attracted to the system by energetic anomalies. This was actually communication, transport, and broadcasting infrastructure, and they had well anticipated the arrival of another sentient people. Eventually, it was discovered that Aquarii had a form of interplanetary travel. With their modulations, they developed a way of creating wormholes for individuals and groups. They expanded our network of habitable planets, and they welcomed humans to their own system once they'd examined this new people thoroughly. The society of co-evolved Aquarii symbious planets was more like signal beacons and lighthouses between different kingdoms, with the occasional small party of emissaries. So the Aquarii had co-evolved on 8 planets within hopping distance, and they had co-evolved with trees, which were also on all of these planets that they call the symbious. And their abilities of sound and light also helped them sort of sing through space. So they were able to bridge space their way and meet each other. But it's, I used coevolutionary theory with the Aquarii, just imagining that a sentient being could mimetically and genetically be spread across multiple planets, co-evolving with the guidance or help or aid of trees, which could communicate with each other as well. And so they sort of would only send a few people to the other planets. Not a whole lot of colonization, just communication and emissarial contact. But that was their civilization when humans met them. And they decided to travel among humans and allow humans to travel among them and to collaborate on further civilization. And so that's the Pan-Galactic Imperium as it is when the story begins. Humans working with dragons, who are considered people, space dragons, elemental cosmic space dragons, and the Aquarii, who are kind of, our next best friends in this alternate universe. And so now I'll go to the part about the Federets. I'm just picking out the description of the Federet system in the Pan-Galactic Imperium. As it grew, the networks of inhabited planets would get sort of rearranged into different groupings, different functional, political, spatial groupings, having to do with maybe their nearness to each other, or their functional relationship, or the technological transit, the ways that they're connected. So that at the beginning of the story, they're organized into 10 Federets plus the home planet, which is Alessandra. And the 10 Federets are sort of independently managing and united by the imperial royal family. So the Federets. The Pan-Galaxy is divided into different galactic neighborhoods, common-sense groupings of planets. Historically, by their addition in time of expansion, the waves in which planets joined the Pan-Galaxy by diplomacy or colonization, or by localization. Some galaxies are more isolated with only one inhabited planet, but with the combination of human and Aquariid star travel methods with Draconid consultation, these have become localized as part of the Pan-Galactic Transit Net or Transnet. Some Federets have a functional technological grouping. Others have stronger communication via shipping and travel. Others are balanced by population. So that was the framework of the civilization. These kind of subgroupings. Yeah. That would help define different cultural localities. Yeah. And then something else I really enjoyed imagining was how would planets conduct business together? How would planets communicate? Assuming that they can get in touch. What would that be like? And they would have to agree on a time to meet or conduct business. And to do that, or know what time it is on another planet. To know what time it is on another planet, I imagine that it gets kind of weird, actually. That time is weird without relation to planets. Because we use minutes, we use seconds and minutes and hours and days, which are divisions of the solar cycle of one planet around one star. Mm-hmm. That's planetary time. Using that, what is time in deep space? What is time? How does time function in relation to one planet around one star? So it kind of doesn't. And how does it function in physics and in science and in society? But so basically, I imagine that humans decided to operate by planetary time on each planet. Each planet has its planetary time. It's whatever it is, whether people use months, weeks, days, years. People could reckon those things differently. I mean, imagine a non-Gregorian planet, because we think, a year is 365 days. But that's not true on Venus. And then how would they divide their days? We say a Venusian day might be like 32 hours or something. I think it's less. It might be less. But, a Martian day, how long is it? And then what are its minutes? And what's, compare a Martian minute to an Earth minute. And so the Synchrony is this kind of, what would they refer to? And I thought, okay, they use symbols. That's what humans have in common, are symbols. They have a symbol, like 3 dials of symbols, a little bit like the Mayan calendar. And these symbols kind of relate to all these different kinds of planetary time. And people can just say, okay, when they're trying to meet someone, will use sigma 4/5 9. So I'm just going to go ahead and read what I wrote here about the Synchrony, because I'm already paraphrasing it. So it's the Synchrony. They use a symbolic synchrony to pinpoint to translate into their own planetary times. The Synchrony is a conversion factor, not a time scale. it loops, but people don't count them one after the other. You know, people don't count synchrony years. They count planetary years. It makes much more sense. It's so much easier. People have planet bonding. People count planetary years, as this works better for linear timekeeping. The synchrony is not itself a time. It just doesn't really make good sense that way. People on spaceships live by a planetary time, and if they're not near enough to go by planetary time, then they're going to another planet. Yeah, so they can just maybe switch planetary times if they're changing planetary affiliations. Some ships might stay affiliated with a planet, not sure. Time is too weird without a planetary attachment for humans and people anyway. People learn this, and they don't reckon by the synchronies, which are just conversion codes. That said, there is an unusual flower that blooms by the synchrony. This system was a breakthrough after about 6 planets into human space colonization. So after 6 planets in, they were like, this is crazy. Like maybe they were all reckoning by home planet time, or like, okay, I guess GMT, imagining that everybody has to refer to GMT from every place on the planet, which is sort of true. In the Pacific coast we're -8 or +8. Yes, -8. But it was crazier than that to reckon by the time of another planet from other planets, and then they decided, okay, we're doing this, we're going to use the synchrony.
If I were to count by sunrises and sunsets where I am, I would have the same ones as you guys. But if I counted by moonrises and moonsets, I'd come up with completely different numbers for where I live. Because we are above the equivalent of the Arctic Circle for the lunar orbit.
Could you say that again?
Okay. There are occasions when the moon will rise on Monday and the moon will not set until the following Monday.
Okay.
Or just about any other variation that allows it to be up to above the horizon continuously for up to a week, but not more than a week.
Right, okay. Reckoning by different astronomical factors. Yeah, absolutely. Time is a fun subject in space. So this system was a breakthrough about 6 planets into human space colonization. Minutes are part of hours, are part of days, are of unique time spans on each planet, divisible in unique ways. Someone on one planet checks their date, then uses the synchrony to find the date and approximate time on another planet. Date calendars may include synchrony markings, but there are no synchrony calendars. For planetary calendars, the synchrony calculates reliably ahead. It has 3 dials. The outer synchrony is segmented into beta symbolic sections, so that was the largest symbol set that is used in the synchrony. Beta symbolic meaning sort of alphabetical, I imagined, Greek letters, or, Greek letters, for instance. The next dial is half base 10, the 5 petals. So because we're base 10 people, we decided this is sort of a human-led civilization, or a human-organized civilization, controversially. We use base 10 because humans on all different planets can still relate to base 10. The next dial is half base 10, the 5 petals. And the finest distinction is counted in 3 squared units, which is 1 through 9. And 1 through 9 sort of divides up different parts of different kinds of days, like a Martian day, a Martian day might be longer than an Earth day, but within the synchrony, they can find a part of the day somewhere between 1 and 9. And on Earth, 3 might be later in the day, and on Mars, 3 might be earlier in the day, but they can conduct a meeting at 3. Synchrony 3. So sigma 4/5 9. Sigma would be sort of month-like, but almost like a short month. 4/5 is week-like, but like a long week. And then 9 is hour-like, but like a large hour. So, people can zero in on a block of time. So sigma 4/5 9 is a spot on the synchrony when somebody will call home or somebody will call their family. And yeah, so those were some fun elements of world building that it was just, okay, I'm going to give that a whole, day or few to just dream up and see how that would work.